Hi everyone, it's Carolyn from True Crime Chat with Mommy Ramblings. Today we're going to hear a little more about Chad Daybell and his life before marrying Lori Vallow. We have gone over most of this in our lives, but as I said, I'm going to create shorter, specific videos for this case and others so that you can easily find what you're looking for. I know we cover a lot in our lives, and that's why I'm trying to break it down into smaller videos. If this is your first time here with us and you would like to be part of the greatest community on YouTube, then please click that subscription button in the corner of the video and the notifications bell. If you click on that and ask for all notifications, you'll be notified every time we upload a video or go live, which we do most every night. We are the channel for you, especially during this time when we're all staying home together, because we offer a variety of content. We're a full lifestyle channel with an emphasis on true crime. So you can find shopping hauls, DIYs, craft tutorials, even fun live craft panels where everyone comes on camera for a crafting and chat session. Beyond that, every evening we have live chats, so you don't feel so alone during this time. We cover a lot during those live chats. They're chock full of information. Right now we happen to be going over Carole Baskin. That is some wild ride, let me tell you. If you missed any of our Carole Baskin coverage, go check out the Tiger King playlist. You will not be sorry. If you want to hear more about the Daybell case, you can check out our playlist on that one in the video description or on the channel itself in our playlist section. Ready? Good. Let's dive in and take a look at Chad. Chad Daybell is Lori Vallow's fifth husband, and at this time, he's still alive. Well, I know that sounds funny, but I think if you follow this case, you know that Lori doesn't have the best track record with husbands, so I thought I'd mention that. Chad was married to Tammy Daybell, and together they had 5 kids. Tammy died unexpectedly at their home on October 19, 2019. Her wake was held 2 days later in Utah. The next day, she was buried at Springville Evergreen Cemetery. The day after her burial, a memorial service was held at Henry's Fork Stake Center in Rexburg. Many in attendance were alarmed at how fast the funeral arrangements had been made and executed, especially considering Tammy's death was unexpected. She was healthy and worked as a librarian at the Central Elementary School in Sugar City and was actively involved in her church. One man who attended the service agreed to speak to East Idaho News, as long as his name wasn't used, and he said he's known the Daybells for years and is in their Latter-day Saint ward. He said it was really weird because the casket wasn't even there. It all came together so quick and felt rushed. There weren't a lot of people at the service, he recalls. The Daybells' children participated in the service, and Chad was among the speakers. The closing song was Families Can Be Together Forever, and a poem called Your Mother Is Always With You was printed into the program. 9 days after Tammy's death, Chad published an essay titled Moving into the Second Half of My Life in the Latter-day Saints Avow, which is the abbreviation for Another Voice of Warning, Global Initiative newsletter. The first section of the post was sent to a media source, and I'm going to read it for you here in a moment. But Chad praised his wife's faith, her brilliant mind, and said that she wore so many hats with their publishing company. He then wrote that Tammy conveyed to him several messages, and in the process of implementing what she has told me to do, she has indicated that my life has 2 parts that were planned even before I came to Earth. So let's look at what Chad said here. Before we do that, I just want to mention that 5 days after the post was mailed out to the Avow subscribers, Chad marries Lori. on a beach in Hawaii. He also received $430,000 in life insurance money after Tammy died. Multiple sources say the funds came from several policies, and Chad made significant increases to at least one policy before Tammy passed away. Chad and Tammy, again, had 5 children, including a son who's serving a Latter-day Saint mission. None of the children have commented publicly about the case involving their dad and his new wife, Lori Vallow. So on October 31st, 2019, Chad wrote this in that Vow newsletter: "As I see it, moving into the second half of my life." And it says, "My dear wife Tammy passed away in her sleep early Saturday, October 19th. When I awoke around 6 a.m., it was clear she had been gone for several hours. It came as a shock." Do you think so, Chad? Is this guy for real? It came as a shock. No. Oh, let me see. I'm sleeping next to my wife. She's been dead for several hours unexpectedly. Yeah, that's strange that it came as a shock. "I couldn't believe I hadn't awakened somehow, but all indications are that her spirit simply slipped away during the night. Her face looked serene, with her eyes closed and a slight smile." It sounds like Chad's trying to make himself feel better, maybe of something that he had a part of. I don't know. What do you think? "It was devastating to discover her that way, but I'm so grateful that her death was peaceful." So devastating that he's married, 2 weeks after she dies? Yeah, so devastating. Tammy really was the anchor of our family and our publishing business. We have worked side by side from the moment we were married in the Manti Temple in 1990. It is safe to say I never would have become an author without her faith in me and her constant encouragement. Tammy herself wasn't a visionary woman, but she believed what I told her and trusted my decisions. She often said she felt like Lehi's wife, Sariah, in the Book of Mormon, where her faith was often tested by the unexpected twists and turns of our lives, but she was grateful when the Lord would fulfill the promises that had been made regarding our family. She had a brilliant mind, especially when it came to computers. She wore so many hats in our company, from being chief financial officer to operating our websites to designing book covers. I'm still sorting out how I'm going to cope with this tremendous loss. Thankfully, I have a son whose mind works like Tammy's, and will be able to muddle through these tasks, although not as efficiently as she did. Tammy conveyed to me several passages and I am in the process of implementing what she has told me to do. She has indicated that my life has 2 parts that were planned even before I came to Earth. And then that's what we have. A few weeks after Tammy died, a close friend of the Daybell children tells East Idaho News that she had a conversation with one of their sons. She asked that they not use her name, but this is what she said about her conversation. "We were talking about how his family is doing, and he told me his dad remarried," she said. "I thought it was a joke because he kind of laughed about it afterwards. I laughed, and he said, 'No, I'm serious. My dad went to Hawaii on a business trip and met a widow, and they just got married.' Yeah, your dad lied to you, this man of the great faith." The friend wasn't sure how to respond, and since the Daybell children were not happy their father had remarried so quickly, you think? "I'll never forget," he said. "My dad's not a bad guy. He's just done some bad things," she says. "I remember calling my mom that night and telling her how weird it was that Chad's wife hadn't even been in the ground a month, and he's already married again." Chad and Lori stayed in Hawaii a few weeks after their wedding, but returned to Rexburg mid-November. Police arrived at Lori's townhouse November 26th to perform a welfare check on JJ, and officers were told he was with a friend in Arizona. Chad acted as if he didn't know Lori very well and stated he didn't know her phone number. An affidavit of probable cause states, a short time later, Chad tried to drive away, but was stopped by a detective and admitted he did know his wife's number. So Chad, this great man of faith, and with such a great moral compass, is just lying and lying first to his children about how he met Lori, how he married her, all of that. Now to the investigators. Wonderful. I guess you just pick and choose which you want out of the religion there. Investigators returned the next day with a search warrant. On December 1st, Chad and Lori Daybell caught an American Airlines flight to Hawaii without the children. A few days before Christmas, the Rexburg Police Department went public with the case, and members of the Daybell ward were stunned Chad was involved. It's so different than how he has ever acted before, one member says. I think everyone was just caught off guard and couldn't believe it. A lot of people think we were defending Chad in the beginning, but it was more about loving and supporting our neighbors in a Christ-like way. Lori and Chad's parents and extended family members have made no public comments about the situation with the exception of Chad's younger brother, Matt Daybell. He sent East Idaho News a statement in January. This is his statement. My immediate family has had little association with Chad the last many years due to our concerns with his religious claims, in particular books he has chosen to publish, including his own, Matt wrote. We are deeply saddened at the recent events that have played out the last several months. It is our hope and prayer that JJ and Tylee are safe. We want for the truth to be found, whatever the truth turns out to be. Neither I nor my wife and children have any more information than what has been reported in the news media. I plead again for Chad to come forward and cooperate with the investigation so that this very difficult situation might be resolved. Okay, so let's look at Chad a little more in depth, right? Did you know Chad Daybell worked as a gravedigger nearly 3 decades ago? He also allegedly sent Lori Vallow an email in 2019 when she was still married to her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, detailing 7 missions to accomplish together before the end of the world. Charles Vallow was later shot dead by Lori's brother, Alex Cox. The email listed a plan to translate ancient records, to write a book about the translation plot, to identify locations in northeast Arizona for white camps, to establish the presidency of the Church of the Firstborn, to help establish the food distribution as the tribulations start, to ordain individuals for translation as the camps begin, and provide supplies to righteous members of families. This is according to an unidentified source and email records that were brought to the media. Back to Chad and Tammy. As Chad said in that essay, Chad and Tammy had started a book publishing company in Utah, and that is through that publishing company that several of his religious themed fiction novels were published, and they're all about the end of the world. A newspaper based in Salt Lake City uncovered previous articles written decades ago about Daybell's job at a cemetery, including 2 separate stories, one in 1993 and one in 2001. Chad reportedly worked as a gravedigger more than 28 years ago while attending Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. A 24-year-old Chad Daybell first spoke with a newspaper in 1993 after his younger brothers, Paul Daybell, then 21, and Matt Daybell, then 19, also took jobs digging graves at the same cemetery in Springville, Utah. They were pursuing their undergraduate degrees at BYU as well. Chad said, I would consider digging graves my first real job. I like the exercise and flexible hours. It lets your body work while your mind rests from school. He graduated with a journalism degree from BYU and quit the Springville Cemetery to pursue writing. Chad was later rehired to maintain the church property, including graveyards, in 2001. Sad times are always when you have to bury babies. That's always a poignant moment, Daybell said in 2001, telling the newspaper about his job. He also called cemeteries fertile ground for stories, describing times he felt haunted and one instance of digging up a grave so a mortician could retrieve a wedding ring from the body. I couldn't really exaggerate or fabricate any of these stories. They're just too bizarre, he said. Daybell went on to publish a book about his experience as a gravedigger titled 1 Foot in the Grave, Secrets of a Cemetery Sexton, which, according to this media source, remains available for purchase on Amazon. A former friend and colleague of Chad Daybell said she is haunted by a call she said that she received from Chad 3 weeks before the death of Tammy, his wife. She says, 3 weeks before Tammy dies, he said to me in this frustrated voice, my plan can't move forward until Tammy is dead or until Tammy dies, Julie Rowe said, explaining that she believes Chad was referring to his life plan or the plan that God had for him. Julie says she was disheartened and she was very disturbed by that. She's an author who writes about her own visions and near-death experiences and says that if anyone understands how a person's plan works, people don't get in the way of our plans. Our plans are our plans, especially our spouses, and we are married to them for a reason. I felt darkness in it. I felt his frustration and his anger, and it was a big caution for me. It was enough of one that I talked to my husband about it, and I was very concerned, she said. Julie went on to say that Chad had said something similar about Tammy's death in December of 2018, when Julie said she had visions of her own spouse and other family members dying. Her religious beliefs tell her that things will work out in their own time. When it comes to the light side, if you're in the light, if you're working for the light, if you are getting messages from the light, those thoughts don't occur to you like that, she said. Rowe said she connected with Chad through the LDS of Vallow, an online end times preparedness forum. In February 2014, Rowe said she had decided to write about the dreams and visions she had after a near-death experience in 2004, during which she had spent 2.5 days in a comatose state. I basically had a tour of different heavenly realms and dimensions, Julie said. Then I was shown through the window of heaven my past lives and experiences in history on the earth, everything from some of the creation of the earth, and then they fast-forwarded to potential things that would happen on the planet in my lifetime. Julie Rowe's first book was published in May of 2014, and she met Chad and his wife, Tammy, in person the first time in July. They went on to publish more books together, and Rose said she became friends with the couple and their 5 children. We worked very closely the first couple of years. We talked on the phone almost every day, every other day, every couple of days, related to the books and the work we were doing, Julie said. We would compare notes on our visions and things that we saw coming in the future. I became good friends with he and his wife and his kids. Julie said she thought Chad and Tammy had a strong bond and a loving family, noting they gathered with their 5 children for Sunday dinners. It makes Chad's actions after Tammy's death even more confusing, she said. I know Chad loved Tammy. I watched them. There are certain things you can't fake, Julie said. Gradually, she said, she and Chad both became busy and with separate projects, and they were in touch less. Julie started a podcast, and she began doing energy work with clients and launched a nonprofit focused on helping people after natural disasters called the Greater Tomorrow Relief Fund. She said she still kept in touch with Chad, who was busy speaking at conferences organized by Preparing a People, the media company with a mission to help prepare the people of this earth for the second coming of Jesus Christ. Before they were wed, both Chad and Lori appeared together on since-deleted podcasts distributed by Preparing a People. The company's owners, Michael and Nancy James, have distanced themselves from Chad and Lori. They said in December they were shocked and deeply disturbed to learn of the investigation into the children's whereabouts, adding, "We also do not share any of Chad Daybell's or Lori Vallow's beliefs in that they are contrary to Christian principles of honesty, integrity, and truth, or if they do not align with the doctrines of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints." About a year and a half ago, I started noticing some shifts in Chad. We would disagree on some things, points of doctrine, LDS theology, things like that, Julie Rowe said. But sometimes, on work trips to Utah, Julie said they would still spend time with Chad and Tammy and their kids. And Julie said the last time she saw Chad in person was in December of 2018. She said the cause of her falling out with her former publisher were the warnings she tried to give him about his current wife, Lori, as well as the publishing issues. Julie said angels had come to warn her not to get involved with Lori Vallow or her niece, Melanie Boudreau. Like Lori, Boudreau moved from Arizona to Rexburg, Idaho in the fall of 2019 and married soon after. A marriage certificate shows Melanie Boudreau married on November 30th. Boudreau's ex-husband, Brandon, has spoken out about his wife's religious beliefs and his belief that Lori's brother, Alex Cox, shot at him outside of his home in October. Lori, who got Melanie Boudreau involved in all of this religious belief system, Rich Robertson, an Arizona-based private investigator with R3 Investigations, said that it was all of this end times apocalyptic going down these rabbit holes that caused the marriages of both Lori Vallow and Brandon Boudreau to collapse. But Julie said her warnings to Chad and Lori went unheeded. I warned Chad, and I told him exactly what my angels told me, and he told me that I've been married to her, Lori, before, Julie said. I got a big warning on that, and I looked into the future and I saw some stuff and I was concerned. I tried 3 times to warn him, and not only did he blow me off, but he cut me off, Julie said. She said she is speaking out now because she believes Lori and Chad are deceived in their beliefs. In divorce papers, Lori states her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, claimed Lori had told him she was a god assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000 at Christ's second coming in July 2020. Julie said she was excommunicated from the Latter-day Saints Church in April of 2019 and said that her beliefs are her own. Okay guys, so that's about it for this video. That's a lot of information to take in, and I hope that it was informative to you and it makes it easier to access as this case moves forward. Thanks for watching again. If you could share this video if you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and wishing you the best, and stay safe and stay well. Goodbye now.